So this is a continuation video for 3.3.2. This is part 2. And we're going to be looking at letters D, E, and G. In the last one I did A, B, and C. So let's start with D. So D is going to take 10 lines. We're just going to start with a universal claim. Then we have our existential claim. Since we have an existential claim, we're going to start an assumption for the sake of EE. Break those two pieces down. Then go back and do UE for line 1. Then we can use 4 and 6 to get HA. In this case, our conclusion is a little bit different. There's no negation there this time. Other times there has been. Then we put 5 and 7 together. And do EI. Since we're still within an EE subproof, we're going to need to discharge to get rid of that EE. And as with the last set of problems, our second assumption there, assumption number 2, which is our line with the existential, didn't come back into play until the very last line. Let's look at E. This is also going to have the same end goal, existential X, Fx, and Hx, with no negation there. So let's start with our existential claim. Then we have our universal claim. So this order is a little bit different than what we saw before. But since we have an existential claim on line 1, we will have to start an EE. Then we can go back to line 2 and do UE. So the reason we know to put HA and FA together is when we look at our conclusion, we know the step before this one will be this. So we need to get these two pieces independently together and then put them together with an AND introduction, which is what we've just done here. Then we turn that into an existential claim, so replace A with X using EI. Then we need to discharge out of our EE proof. Did I do it backwards? Yeah, I did it backwards. Please hold. That should be FA and HA. There we go. And that's 1, because that's our existential line. 3, line we made an assumption. 9, the line right before this, which is just what we're reiterating here. And then EE. And messed up, it's a 2, not a 1. And discharge to 3. So in this case, what took until the very end to come back was our 1, and that's pretty standard. Let's go on to, let's see, I think we've done D and E. Let's go on to G. G will also take 10 lines. And here we start again with an existential claim. Then the universal claim. Since we have an existential claim, we're going to do EE. Okay, those two pieces down. Then go back to line 2 and do UE. And I'm just going to put a 2 over here before I forget this time. From 4 and 6, and that's an MPP. Our goal here is EX, FX, and not HX. So we know that we're going to want FA and not HA together eventually. And we can do that here. 5, 7, and introduction. Let's put this all in the same color though. Then we can use EI in order to change it from particular A to X. And then from there, we can finally go back to our normal line of the argument to discharge the EE. Then you cite line 1, 3, 9, and you write EE. And then like the last one, our first assumption doesn't come back until the very end. So in these sets of problems, what I've done is I've briefly gone through and I've done an EE subproof for every single one. And in doing that EE subproof, I was able to reach the existential conclusion that I wanted. And then I reiterate it on the next line and discharge it using EE.